Let's just get this over with. All right, before we continue on with this review, let me just get something straight. I, under no circumstances, condone or endorse pedophilia. It is absolutely disgusting. Anyone that practices or supports it should be fucking put down. The fact that people are trying to normalize it or, justify it is absolutely horrifying to think about. It does not have a place in today's world, and it is something that really needs to be looked into in greater detail. I just want to put that out there because me reviewing this movie is not me trying to justify any of the content shown or the themes or anything like that. I'm simply reviewing this movie the same way that I review every other movie. How was it done technically? How was it, what was the message that it was trying to do? Was it a good message? Did it deliver that message, in a good way? The answer to that question is fucking no. No, it did not. Fucking Christ. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are on social media or are just following like movie production and shit like that saw a couple, almost a month ago at this point, there was a, Netflix had a whole blunder about this movie that they were releasing. It was this French imported movie called Cuties. And they had a whole thing where they released a poster and a description that was really problematic, does not even begin to describe like what this poster and description was. It was very clearly a sexualization of children, and the description explicitly refers to them as 11-year-olds. And the trailer did nothing to help this. It was very creepy, and it showed the girls in very like creepy and like sexualized poses and dancing and shit like that. And Netflix had to change the description and remove the poster, and they even came out and said that what we did wasn't a representation of what the movie actually is. And even the director herself was like, this isn't a movie trying to sexualize little kids, it's a movie talking about the dangers of sexualizing little kids. When I first saw this whole debacle going on, I wanted to do a video on it. I wanted to talk about it, but I figured it wasn't my place because, the movie hadn't come out yet. And, we've seen like weirder premises for a movie, and we've seen weirder trailers and shit like that don't exactly illustrate what the movie is going to be about. So, maybe this was one of those situations. Maybe, I will say this. People at Netflix need to be fucking fired for how they handled this situation, if they weren't already. But I wasn't gonna judge the movie based on just a few mishaps. Like maybe it was, genuinely just a situation of poor marketing on Netflix's part, and the movie is actually, coming from a very innocent place with a very important and powerful message that it needs to bring. And again, it's so hard to like talk about this movie and judge it fairly because, okay, so after I watched this movie, I sat down and watched an interview with the director, and she seems like a nice lady. She seems like a really nice woman. She claims that this movie is a feminist movie. She claims that, it was, made to comment on like the over-sexualization of kids and, the dangers of that, and how, kids need to learn to like be safer and responsible about themselves and things like that. And, I do believe her. I do believe that she went into this movie with the absolute best intentions in mind, and she wanted to tell the story and deliver this message that, in this modern time is a really important message, especially to teach to, younger and teenage girls and stuff like that. When you see all these like things on Instagram and all over TikTok of just these like little kids doing these like weird like grindy dances and shit like that. It's weird and it should not be there, and you know, kids need to be taught better. And I can almost, like, watching this movie, I can almost see, in fact not even almost, I can see where they were going with it. I can really see like what they were trying to do, but it just, the message is there. The message is really there, and I'll get more into it when I like get more into talking about the movie. But the execution and how it's delivered is really fucking wrong. Okay, so I've rambled on enough. What is this movie actually about? So it's about this girl, Amy, who is 11 years old. She lives with her overbearing mom. She's really like traditional follower of the Islamic religion. You know, she is trying to teach her daughter to be like more proper and more of a woman and all this other stuff. And Amy comes across this like group of like dancers who are, it's kind of like a Dancing with the Stars-ish type of group, or like Dance Moms type of group or something like that. And you know, she becomes interested. She wants to, you know, join in on them and explore kind of like the freedoms of that sort of stuff, which kind of go against her family's wishes and shit like that, and she's kind of rebelling against that. So, you know, it's this, people who have praised this movie call it a coming of age story, and I can you know, see where they're coming from with that, because you would see this type of story in most, you know, coming of age, what would be considered coming of age movies. So, but where the movie kind of falls flat is in when it is trying to deliver that message and how it goes about it. So somewhere in the movie, the main girl finds this phone and she's being shown like videos of like older girls like dancing really provocatively and like revealing things and shit like that. And because little kids are impressionable, she reads that as, oh, in order to be successful, we have to do things like that. The movie shows in great detail these like really long like scenes of the girls dancing, and it's weird to watch. Like, I was sat there like just cringing the entire time having to watch this. You're kind of thinking like the whole time you're watching this, you're like, what is the point of this? Like, why do they need to show this in such great detail? And then towards the end of the movie, I'm gonna spoil this shit because you all aren't gonna watch it anyway, and you shouldn't. Amy gets made fun of or something for like not being a real woman. So she, I guess in retaliation, she posts a nude photo of herself onto what's supposed to be Instagram or something, and it backfires, and you know, it shows her being made fun of and called names, and her family gets pissed off at her, and even her dance crew is no longer like wanting to hang out with her or be friends or something like that, because now they're getting comments and stuff like that. At that point, I could see where they were going with it. You know, could see the message coming through of, you know, like, it's okay for kids to want to explore themselves, but like they need to know there are boundaries, especially at that age and stuff like that, which is a really good, like I said, a really good message to teach to kids. But it's really hard to see a message like that and take it seriously when, you know, 40 to 50 minutes prior, you're showing like multiple scenes of little, like I said, 11-year-old girls like grinding on each other, like twerking, like doing all this weird shit. And it's hard to see that, and like the messages kind of get confused. Like, okay, it's wrong to take nude photos of yourself, but it's okay to like dance really sexually. And yes, I understand that those are two very different extremes, but like there were better ways to portray this message without having to show all of that stuff. And because it is uncomfortable and it is unsettling and it is going to make a lot of people really triggered and angry and shit like that. Like, why, there were so many other better ways that you could have portrayed this message. Like, why did they explicitly have to be 11-year-olds? Like, I know that it's to show that young kids are impressionable and stuff like that, but older kids and teenagers go through the exact same thing, and like, why couldn't the girls be like 18? It still would have been creepy, but it would have been less creepy because you're not watching like literal children. I mean, the movie has other problems with it too, like on top of just the crazy backwards ass message. Like, the characters are all kind of horrible people. Like, the main girl, Amy, is like really kind of just fucked up. Like, she does some really like not cool things. She steals. There's this really weird, creepy scene where she tries to seduce her older cousin to like get him to give her the phone back. And there's one scene towards the end where like after the girls stop talking to her and they are about to go to their dance concert, they have this fourth member, and as she's walking by, Amy just fucking pushes her in the lake and she almost drowns. And she never faces consequences for this, so that's really messed up. And it's a real shame because there are good elements in this movie. This is not a good movie, but there are well done elements in it. Like, the presentation-wise, technically, the movie looks really good. The cinematography, the editing, the lighting, all that stuff. The actors are all pretty good actors. The B storyline with Amy and her, that shows Amy and her family and all that stuff, is actually really well done. It's really good, and that was honestly the parts where I felt the most comfortable watching it, because it wasn't shoving fucking whatever the hell that was in my face. But it's just those other elements that make this movie like almost impossible to say check it out. Like, even in terms of like curiosity, I would feel bad just saying check this movie out. Like, no, I cannot in good conscience tell you to watch this movie. Like, I watched it for review purposes. Like I said, I watched it just to try to rationalize where the director was coming from. And like I said, I don't think she went into this with malicious intentions or creepy intentions or what have you. I really do believe that her heart was in the right place when she made this, but just the execution and how everything was portrayed was just, this was just not it. You could have done it much better. I really do feel bad because, in the wake of this movie coming out and all the promotion leading up to it, she was getting like death threats and I'd imagine a bunch of like hateful messages thrown her way. I don't think she deserves any of that because, like I said, she went into this with the best of intentions in mind. But I do think, if she ever does make a movie, which I really hope she does, I really hope this doesn't ruin her career. But if she ever does make another movie, she probably needs to, this is probably a good lesson that, because this film did win an award at the Sundance Film Festival in France, and it was critically acclaimed in France. So this is probably a lesson to her that, things that play well in France probably won't play well in America, and she just needs to figure out a more appropriate way to portray these serious subjects, which do need to be talked about and shown, but not like this at all. So yeah, going to my ranking, fucking hell, this is probably the hardest movie I have to rank. Ranking this movie, I would probably give it a 1 out of 5. Like, that 1 point is for the few elements that the movie actually does well, like the B storyline, the presentation, all that sort of stuff, the acting. But it's just those other issues with the movie that is keeping this from being a higher ranking movie. Like I said, this is not a bag on the director. I really hope that she gets more work after this. She gets another chance to tell a good story and make a good movie. But this was just a really unfortunate situation, and I'm glad in a way I was glad I was able to bring some attention to it and bring my viewpoint on it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this. I try to keep it mostly lighthearted on this show, but whenever I have to get serious, you know, it's very few and far between, but I had to tackle this in some form, otherwise I would just feel bad about it for the rest of time. I promise I'll have something more lighthearted and less controversial next time. So be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting. Follow me on my social medias, subscribe to my main channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time.